Keep your hands off my body, Annie, 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 oh. Keep your hands off my body, Annie, 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 oh, oh, oh. Oh, my dear, you strike fear into my waist and under my rib cage. Soft inflection, thought inspection, go away my imperfection. Keep your hands off my body, Annie, 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 oh. Keep your hands off my body, Annie, 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 oh, oh, oh. Love me, Annie, love me, Annie, love me, Annie, oh, oh, oh. Keep your hands off my body, Annie, 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 oh, oh, oh. Keep your hands off my body, Annie, 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 oh, oh, oh. I'm Brighid.
I'm Pascale,
and we're Moscow Apartment.
I started playing music when I was really little, because both of my parents play music. My dad plays jazz guitar, my mom sings.
I started playing music when I was 4. I started off on violin, and I think my parents have always been really big music lovers. I've grown up just surrounded by tons of music. So we met when we were 5 and 6 at Viva Youth Singers Choir of Toronto. Is that what they're called? Viva Youth Singers of Toronto, yes. Mm-hmm. And our choir would sing for the Nutcracker at the Four Seasons, and we carpooled together during the winter. And that's kind of how we became friends originally.
And then I went to Brighid's EP release when she was 12. She released an EP, and so I went, and she was really good. And my mom wanted me to play with her, and Brighid's mom wanted her to play with me, and so they made it. They made us have a dinner.
Our parents made us
they set
hang
us
out.
up. They band set us up.
And then we started carpooling again to songwriting workshops, and then we realized that we wrote really well together.
We bounce ideas off of each other, and we have very synchronized brains. We think very similarly, and we kind of just have the same idea with what we want to do with music.
I prefer playing with Pascale than playing on my own. I think we both used to have pretty bad stage fright, and then we started playing together, and it was just so much easier to play with someone who you get along with on stage, and yeah. One day we just sat down and decided to come up with as many band names as we could in one day. And so we were looking through this big photography book I had, and we saw this cool picture of this old man, and he was like some famous photographer, and it was a photo in front of him in front of his Moscow apartment. And we're like, that's pretty cool. Yeah. I'd say that Moscow Apartment is like an indie band.
Yeah. We're like indie folk rock, and I think we said which food are we? What type of food are we if we were music? Zucchini bread?
If our music was a food, it would be like zucchini bread.
We originally wrote Annie because we were really upset about body standards and the really, really unrealistic body standards that are put upon just people in general. And I feel like a lot of...
Especially women,
especially trans people, just gender non-conforming people that just don't fit into the norm of what society says this is a good-looking person. Also, people with really dark skin, albino people, disabled people. We just wanted to tell these stupid standards to just keep their hands off our bodies, because everyone's beautiful.
But I think also with songs like Annie, it's nice to see that we're getting a message out there, because a lot of little girls listen to our music, and I think it's really cool that all these little girls are listening to a song that the chorus is "keep your hands off my body," and so I think that just the fact that our music is having that impact is really cool.
I think what makes the gay village really cool is the gay part.
Yeah, the large LGBT community.
Being bi, just growing up, knowing that there's a place in Toronto, a whole community that just is there to support is really cool.
Pride is a really awesome part of the village. I also think there's a lot of like youth support in the area. Like I know there's a lot of different organizations, which I think is really awesome and really important. And lots of like places for education. I know there's the LGBT archive somewhere around here.
I think that musicians would want to live in Toronto because there are lots of other musicians here, and there are lots of people that are just like making completely different types of music.
There's always some sort of musical thing going on, and everyone's like super supportive and really like community oriented, which is really great.
And it's very like, I find that it's very like progressive too, like the musician.
Yeah, the music scene is like really progressive, and like there's tons of awesome stuff like Venus Fest. I think that's a Toronto-based festival that's like all women, and like there's tons of stuff like that happening, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Some of the organizations in Toronto that have helped us with our music have definitely been Girls Rock Camp Toronto, Diva Youth Singers, and I think another really cool thing that we did was playing Pride, because it was like all our friends came and they had these awesome like lights, and
We got to wear pretty colors too.
yeah, it was cool. I think what makes someone a Torontonian is just like being able to explore the city, and I feel like everyone here comes here because there's so many things to do.
When you're just in Toronto and you see someone doing something, you're like, oh, that's a Torontonian. Like people busking on the street, people like people putting their bags next to them when they're sitting on the subway. That's definitely a Torontonian thing. And then these types of shoes.
These remind you of Toronto?
Yeah. Our Instagram is Moscow APT Band. What's our Twitter?
Our Twitter is Moscow APT. Our website is moscowapartment.ca.
And you can find all of our merch there. And we have links to like all of our social media. We're on Spotify, Apple Music, Google
iTunes,
Music.
you name it, we're on it.
Everything. Yeah. Where's my body? Where do you hide me? Annie, Annie, Annie. Anybody? Can you find me? Annie, Annie, Annie's not me. Keep your hands off my body, Annie, 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 oh. Keep your hands off my body, Annie, 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 oh, oh, oh. Love me, Annie, oh. Love me, Annie, love me, Annie, oh, oh, oh. Keep your hands off my body, Annie.